Good morning and welcome to our 2022 BWA Memorial Service. My name is Carrie Morey and I am the BWA Religious Chair. We will begin our service with the chanting of Jusege.
Snowmondo, 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 snowmondo. 야곤 조세간 이시무조도 시가후만족 세후조쇼각 가오무료고 의이다이세슈 의사이쇼빙의 세후조쇼각 가시조분도 묘쇼조지뽀 극교미쇼몬 세후조쇼각 리오크진쇼네 조에슈봉교 시그무조도 이쇼테니시 진리키엔다이코 의쇼무사이도 쇼조상크묘 고사슈야크난 가이치에게 메시코모안 에이소크쇼아크도 츠담센슈몬 고소조만족 이요로지뽀 니치갑추주기 텐콤프겐 이슈가이호소 고세크도크호 조다이슈주 세포시시크 그요이사이브 그소크슈토크혼 간내심조만 토크이 女文無下地津南不詳願学エリク都市最小村志願若国家大戦の官能国書店に統一名家ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性祭道音もないし往生Snowman up, snowman 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 up.
Next, we will have the Dharma Message delivered by Reverend Cyndi Yasaki.
Snowman up, snowman up, snowman up, snowman up, snowman up. If I could have everyone please join me in Gassho. The eastern bank is the burning house, that is the Saha world. The western bank, the precious land of perfect bliss. Nam Amida Butsu, Nam Amida Butsu, Nam Amida Butsu, Nam Amida Butsu, Nam. Hello everyone and happy spring equinox. Today we are celebrating or observing our spring Ohigan, as well as the BWA's memorial service for Lady Kazuko Otani and Lady Takeko Kujo. This quote that I took from the Kyoryo Shinsho, the magnum opus of Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu, is from the parable of the Two Rivers and the White Path, written by Shandao, one of the 7 masters of Jodo Shinshu. Within this parable, it is talked about the eastern bank, or this shore, of birth and death, this Saha world of suffering, and the western bank, which is the bank of the land of perfect bliss, or Amida Buddha's Pure Land. Today on the spring equinox, we say in Jodo Shinshu that this bank, this eastern bank, and the western shore are at its closest because the days and nights are even. So today we remember those who have passed on to the other shore. Now, the parable of the Two Rivers and the White Path, which I will not be talking about very much, is something important for us to remember, as it talks about how Amida Buddha is constantly encouraging us on the Nembutsu path to the other shore. And it is also the time that not only will we reflect on Amida Buddha, but as I said before, that we reflect on those who had passed before. And so this is a reason why we would like to also have the memorial service of Lady Kazuko Otani and Lady Takeko Kujo. It is of the latter, though, that I will speak of more, as Lady Takeko Kujo is one that we know of more in America. We also know of her more because of some of her writings, which I will get into later. But Lady Takeko Kujo lived between 1887 and 1928, and she helped start the BWA, the Buddhist Women's Association, with her sister-in-law, Lady Kazuko Otani, which is again why we observe their memorial service today, or together. Unfortunately, she passed away at the age of 42 when she was taking care of those who were still suffering from the Great Tokyo earthquake, which occurred in 1923, 5 years prior to her death. As we remember Lady Kujo, I thought it would be nice if we reflect on one of her writings in which she talks about the other shore. And so I would like to read to you all today from this book, Leaves of My Heart, written or translated by Wayne Yokoyama, a passage entitled Whatever is Born. Whatever is born. When it is time for a person to die, like flowing water, there is no stopping it for even a moment. Death occurs frequently. Be it yesterday or today, indeed, life can end quickly. Whatever is born must pass away. Before the strictest of rules, it makes no difference whether one is man or woman, rich or poor. The same destiny awaits us all. Every moment that we are alive moves us that much closer to our death. However, when Supreme Nirvana is viewed from the standpoint of Mahayana Buddhism, the whole of birth and death is nothing more than change. Though we may be steeped in sadness due to our attachment to this world, when we consider that we are moving toward to eternal life, we realize that this brief existence is but the first step toward complete nirvana. In Lady Kujo's writing, she reminds us that death comes to us all, that our existence is impermanent. And when we die, we are born on the other shore, where we attain enlightenment. She also tells the reader that even through our passing, there is sadness felt. And we, as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, should acknowledge that. And it is the reason why we turn toward Amida Buddha. Again, going back to the parable of the two rivers and the white path, of Amida Buddha calling to us to continue on the Nembutsu path. It is a time for us to reflect that we know indeed that those who have passed away have reached the other shore. And like Amida Buddha, they are continuously encouraging us on this white path, on this Nembutsu path. Though there are struggles as depicted through the parables of the two rivers in the white path, from the rivers of fire, or anger and hatred, and the rivers of water, which is our greed and desire, constantly pummeling us on both sides of this path, we still hear the calling of Amida Buddha, them encouraging us on this path, to continue on this path. And Lady Kujo, in her book, also encourages us on this path. Someone else who encourages us on this path is Shinran Choni. Both have gone before us, and both have encouraged us continuously on this Nembutsu path. And both of them, though we tend to not hear their voices, read their writings, which both point us to Amida Buddha, whose infinite wisdom and compassion calls to us all. So again, today on the spring equinox, we observe our spring Ohigan, where we reflect on those who have passed. And for the BWA, we observe the memorial of Lady Kazuko Otani and Lady Takeko Kujo for starting this organization to encourage many others to listen to Amida Buddha's name and encourage them on the Nembutsu path. So today, please remember those who have passed on. And as you do, please remember Amida's infinite wisdom and compassion as you say and hear the name Namo Amida Butsu. In closing, may we all please put our hands together in Gasho as we recite Amida Buddha's name. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nama Nops, Nama Nops, Nama Nops, Nama Nops.
Next, we will have the reading of the Threefold Refuge in Japanese and English by Michiko Yukawa. Rinjin ukegatashi, ima sudeni uku. Buppo kikigatashi, ima sudeni kiku. Konomi konjo ni mukatte dose zumba. Sarani izure no shou ni mukatte ka konomi o dosen. Daishu moro tomo ni shishin ni sambo ni kieshi tatematsuru beshi. Mizu kara butsu ni kieshi tatematsuru. Masani negawaku bashujo to tomo ni. Taido wo taige shite mujoi wo okosan. 自から法に消えし立て祀る。まさに願わくば主情とともに、深く共存に入りて知恵、海のごとくならん。自らそうに消えし立て祀る。まさに願わくば主情とともに、大衆を通りして一切無下ならん。無常人人微妙の方は、百千万号にも愛用ことがたし、我今検問し、従事することを得たり、願わくは如来の真実義を下し立て祀らん。The Threefold Refuge. Difficult is it to receive a human form. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha. Now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, in what life shall we cross over? Let us, with sincerity and true reverence, take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together with all sentient beings, awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together with all sentient beings, enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together with all sentient beings, become units in true accord, in harmony with all things. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Next, we will have a special photo presentation of our BWA events in the past years. We hope you enjoy the pictures and remember the good times we all shared and look forward to our future events in person.
This year, the Tacoma Buddhist Women's Association remembers and honors 2 members that we've lost since our last BWA memorial service. We remember Katsumi Fujita, Katz, who passed away in March 2021. Katz and her husband of 65 years, Fudge Fujita, were longtime active and dedicated members of the temple. Katz also served as past co-president of the BWA. Having passed the State Board of Cosmetology of Washington and California, Katz trained and worked as a beautician until she married. After that, Katz and Fudge spent many hard years working on their family farm in Fife and their gardening business in Tacoma. Katz stayed home to raise their 2 daughters, Gail and Elaine, taking them to their many lessons including piano, swimming, sewing, and more. When Gail and Elaine were in junior high, Katz went back to school to become a cashier checker at Hi-Ho in Puyallup, which is now the Fred Meyer, and then head checker at the Buy Low in Tacoma until she retired. Katz loved sports, especially basketball. She grew up playing everything and was on the YBA basketball team at Temple. She was quite a tomboy. She shared her love of sports with her family and had season tickets to the Tacoma Giants and Tacoma Cubs for many years. As a child, Katz went to Dharma school and remained active in all temple activities until several years before she passed away when health issues prevented her from participating as much as she wanted to. She taught the boys' Dharma school class for quite a few years and earned a 10 years teacher's certification from the BCA. Katz is fondly remembered for her beautiful singing voice. She sang at weddings, temple events, and enjoyed karaoke in her later years. She collected many CDs and tapes over the years and had quite the library. Katz and Fudge loved to travel and went to many places after their retirement. Many of those trips, like Japan, Branson, the Canadian Rockies, and more, were taken with other temple members. The BWA will miss Kat's joyous presence and always remember her leading our New Year's song, Toshi no Hajime. In September, BWA lost longtime member Shoko Yamasaki. Shoko was born in October 1934, the fourth child of Tomiko and Kanzo Nahira in Tokyo, Japan. She lived in the Nakano area of modern Tokyo and remembers growing up in a big house with a balcony. While the family moved out to the country temporarily, they always came back to Tokyo. She remembers going to the ritziest and hippest areas of Tokyo with her friends. In 1958, a mutual friend of the Nahira and Yamasaki families decided to introduce Shoko to Matoshi. Matoshi's mother wrote letters to the Nahira family suggesting that maybe their children can meet. Shoko's parents asked her to take some pictures to send to a family in America. Being the dutiful daughter, she took the pictures with no questions asked. These pictures were sent to the Yamasaki family and got the attention of Matoshi. He had some vacation time coming up, so he scheduled a 3-week trip to Japan to meet Shoko. When Matoshi and Shoko first met, they spent a lot of time together, going on many dates, getting to know each other. While there were certainly differences between them, the dates worked their magic, and Matoshi and Shoko were married within 3 weeks of their first meeting. When Shoko came to America, it was like drinking from a fire hose. She didn't speak a word of English and had to learn many skills that were very new to her, from preparing dinners to navigating the vast differences from her old city life in Tokyo to her new life in America. Of course, the challenges never stopped, and yet she overcame them gracefully and always with a smile on her face. She learned how to merchandise a grocery store, starting with the Fuji 10-cent store in Tacoma, and eventually merchandising the Asian grocery store sections at supermarkets for hundreds of miles from home. Shoko met every challenge and smiled through it all. Shoko will always be remembered for supporting the BWA and participating in food prep for our many temple fundraisers. She was known for her homemade anko that she prepared for the YBA Obon snow cone sales, and, of course, for her incredible skills making mochi. We remember her beautiful koto playing, and of course will never forget her warm and generous smile.
Lastly, we will have a special music offering by our very own Donna Sasaki and Megumi Azakawa as they sing the Gatha version of Lady Kujo's poem, Seiya. Hoshi no yozora no utsukushi sa dare ka wa shiru yame no nazo musu no hitomi 輝けば歓喜に和む我が心感じす川のまさごよりあまたをする仏たち夜いる常に守ら Lovely are the stars at night, filling the skies above, lights concealing mystery that we cannot comprehend. Countless are the shining ones, guiding us night and day. In the dark sky, I see their light, filling my heart with joy. How numerous the Buddhas are, filling the universe, as many as the sons of the river Ganges, embracing us through night and day with loving kindness. Dharma resounds within us all, filling our hearts with joy. Our last presenter is our BWA President, Denise Klein, with a closing message.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching today's BWA Memorial Service. Thank you to Dana Sasaki and Megumi Azukawa for today's music selection. Thank you to Michiko Yukawa for the reading of The Threefold Refuge. Thank you to Reverend Cyndi Yasaki for today's Dharma message. And thank you to Reverend Koyama for his support and all his guidance and for helping all with the technical assistance putting these online services together. I would also like to thank my advisor, June Akita, for all of her guidance and support. And thank you to BWA members, past and present, for all that you've done to make this organization possible. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. I hope next year that we're able to do this service in person. Until then, thank you so much, and please join me in Gasho. Namo Amitabha Butsu, Namo Amitabha Butsu, Namo Amitabha Butsu.